Packers, Cowboys, tie. The highest scoring tie in NFL, or not the second highest score tie in NFL history. Scoregami, though. Was Scoregami.
Scoregami. Yes, scoregami. They took forever to post it, but it was a scoregami, the first 40-40 tie in NFL history.
It was. And what a game, dude. Oh, my God. Kind of have whiplash from it because I stayed up to watch it and literally went to bed, told my wife, I was like, I feel unsatisfied. I feel cheated. I kind of feel mad because it ended in a tie, and it kind of didn't need to. Like at the end there, the Packers basically played for the tie a little bit. They had an opportunity to stop the clock, and they didn't.
Mm.
And then end up they take one shot, and luckily had a second left on the game clock, or on the game clock to then kick the game, tying. Literally, it was one of the first kick the game tying field goal for the game to end tie.
Yeah, that's nuts that it's weird that they played for the tie when they had an opportunity to win the game outright. I mean, I get not wanting to take the loss, but that is just an odd decision. I mean, the Cowboys also had a chance. They got the ball down to like the 4 in overtime to win this game. It also, I mean, it felt like a game that was starting to slip from the Cowboys in the first half, but then just blunders from the Packers and things just led the Cowboys getting back into it. Got to give credit to Dak and George Pickens. I mean, specifically Dak, man. Dak, we have said on this podcast multiple occasions that Dak is a lot better than the fan perception. And he has been historically throughout his career. And he showed that in this game, man. I mean, down his number one wide receiver and, basically having to deal with Micah Parsons getting pressure every other play, under duress. I mean, he's been under duress all season long, but Dak just finds a way, man. He's found a way to make tight window throws, given George Pickens in particular opportunities. And that score before the half was absolutely massive going into the second half.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like one of those times where it's like, I can't believe the Cowboys are winning the game before the half, but they found a way to do so on the back of Dak Prescott, dude.
And it's funny because, again, it did feel like an absolute blowout when the Packers were going to go up 14-0, and then they get the blocked PAT, special teams, for 2. So it was 13-2.
I think that's the first time we saw that this season, or maybe ever. I don't know.
13-2 score felt wild to be witnessing it. Yeah, Dak, dude, 31 of 40. So efficient, and while dealing with an offensive line that's just been a problem, this may be, for what it's worth as well, it was a solid chance this is the only 300-yard, 3-touchdown by both quarterback games we see all year. Because of just how low passing stats and just offensive stats have been in general. The overtime, obviously, but Love played okay. His stat line's a little inflated, opportunities missed, and he kind of threw stuff behind the back in the line of scrimmage that guys made some plays on. His touchdown plays were great, though. He had a fade and then the classic fade fake into the slant for Dobbs. So he gets the hat trick of touchdowns. And, the big story, that guardian cap, he could see it in the end zone. So that's how he finds him. He started 6 of 6 for 90 and a touchdown. Big story, though, the Micah Parsons stuff.
Micah's back.
He was out for a little bit in the game with dealing with an injury or something. I think they wanted his back bothered him, but I think they wanted to check him for concussion at one point. So they made him go into the medical tent. So he missed a drive. And he still finished with 10 pressures per PFF, a 94.3 pass rushing grade, which may have been the best of the week.
Yeah. I mean, Mike is dominant, man, despite not getting sacks. Sam made a good point on Check the Mic. It's like, how did Rashawn Gary not take advantage of Micah Parsons? Just wrecking havoc all night long. I mean, Micah was a big factor in the game. Obviously, the big surprise was the Packers defense is just as a whole wasn't as good as it has been, especially with the Cowboys injuries. It was just very surprising. But yeah, Micah showed up, man. I'm sure Skip claimed he didn't, since he didn't have 3 sacks. But yeah, overall, from a down-to-down pass rush perspective, he was making a huge impact on the game.
And his one sack, which people try to discredit him for, was a touchdown saving one, by the way, that let the game end the way that it did. Because if he doesn't get that tackle, on Dak, then that was a third and goal play that then led to the overtime stuff happening. So massive play by Micah. The interesting part, Josh Jacobs averaged over 4 yards a carry in this. So we're stopping the run thing didn't really happen. Emmanuel Wilson actually looked pretty good in this as well. Kenny Clark did have a couple plays in there. He did make his presence known at times. I think all the credit in the world, though, to Dak and George Pickens. George, 134, 2 touchdowns in this game.
So good, man.
Imagine if CD had been playing, and Michael Irvin made this point. This isn't even a hot. He was like, Packers had all their best players on the field. We did not have all of our guys on the field. And it's true. Yeah. Not arguably, their best player, CD Lamb, was not on the field for this game, and they still output from offense.
And their best defensive player was playing for the Packers.
For the other team.
part of the problem.
Doesn't help, man.
Doesn't help.
It's part of the problem. But yeah,
dude,
yeah.
With how I just have to say, with how Dak's playing this year, they could have competed for something, man. Like, they could have competed for the playoffs, but you decided to mess around with Micah's, contract and wait till the very end, and it cost you, and you had to trade him away. And now you're going to, what I believe, waste the last probably prime years of Dak Prescott and for like a semi-competitive rebuild, which is just, that's good, cool for the fans, because at least, you're not just going like, you're not drafting the top 5 every year. But has that ever actually resulted in winning a Super Bowl after it? I don't really feel like it's ever really worked to, get to the ultimate prize, which obviously the Cowboys want to do. It is kind of unfortunate, man, because when Dak is healthy, which he wasn't last year, he wasn't healthy last season. When he is healthy, imagine him with this offense and with CD Lamb and George Pickens and that receiving core. And then if you kept Micah Parsons, then your defense would have been competitive. But it's not.
It's not, man. And it sucks because honestly, Schottenheimer's been solid, man. Offensively, this team is one of the best in the NFL from an offensive perspective right now. They are even with the injuries and an offensive line that's very
not good at all.
But the defense is just abysmal. And it's going to hold them back. The tie helps a little bit where you're now 1-2-1, so you're still clinging to hope there. To be honest, the ties are weird when you get into playoff time too, because it kind of helps because it's less than a win, but more than a loss. So 9-7-1, you get in over the 9-8 team. But we'll have to see, man. And this game was just crazy. The fourth quarter, especially, like all of the back and forth in the second half. Every single drive in the second half, there was one drive that ended in a punt the entire second half. Other than that, you had touchdown, 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 and then the game time send it to overtime. Just electric second half of football. Also, no defense being played anywhere. You had a 12-play and 14-play drive by the Cowboys, a 10-play by the Packers. Just electric offense, and special teams also played a role in this because Kevontae Turpin had a big return at one point that had sub up a drive that then gave them the lead. The kick by the Packers was a 53-yarder that was just middle. Just an all-around insane game, and it's weird because it feels positive in a way that's like, man, I don't want one of these teams to have to win this game, but it also just feels a little bad taste in the mouth that a game this epic ends in a tie.
So that's a question now that we can talk about. Do you feel like they should change the overtime rules?
I kind of like what Steve said on Check the Mic of if you just made it 15 minutes again instead of 10, then with the new rule,
I love that guy.
It's probably going to end. Yeah.
This is why I love that guy, because it's like, dude, that was my biggest problem with the overtime changes is why did you reduce it to 10 minutes? I don't know why they did that. I would also be supportive of just take away the time limit and just leave the same rules, which is, obviously you can respond with a field goal, and in the playoffs you can respond with a touchdown. And you still can't respond with a touchdown in the regular season, right? They have it where if
they changed that this year.
Okay, so you can respond with a touchdown.
Yeah,
but
the same,
then it's just like next score wins. It's like, I don't know, man. It's just I feel like you don't really need the time limit. I don't really get why there's a time limit. Because it's not like college where you're putting the teams in a position where, okay, most of the time they're going to respond, or in the 2-point thing, like, it's a 50-50, so you can both miss it or whatever. The game wouldn't go on forever. That's my point. The game wouldn't go on forever
Yeah.
if you just took away the time limit, unless just both the offenses are just completely abysmal. I just don't like ties. I don't like ties. So I'd rather there be no ties.
Yeah, I like that idea because it's also like it's also crazy because the reason that I know for that, they talked about it, but also they deferred. Packers won and deferred because now it's like almost like college where it's like I want to go second to see what I need. But if your method was there, if the first team scores a touchdown, second team, obviously they have to score, but they're going to go for two. And that's going to end the game right then and there either way.
True.
It probably won't even make it to the third possession because of that. And I would take that. Like, let's get out of here and not have to play forever. But next score wins would do it. But yeah, the tie feels tough. I'm not a fan of it. And both teams, they had 10-play, 13-play drives that ended in field goals in the red zone. So it's like they just kind of played a bit safe there. And Dak had an insane throw that got them down to the goal line anyway.
That was wild, man.
And what a play to come back to the ball as well by the receiver there. But yeah, in the end, it ends in a tie. One of the best games probably this season.
Yeah.
But ends in a tie. Packers 2-1-1, man. After again, we called out Colin Cowherd. Maybe let's not proclaim the Packers NFC champs immediately. And now this defense did not look as elite in this matchup, and offense, was able to kind of match the thing, but past 2 weeks, Packers have looked beatable.
Yeah.
They lost to the Browns and look beatable in this.
Yeah, they're definitely not as dominant as we thought they're going to be. I feel right now through 4 weeks, I still feel better about the Rams than the Packers, personally, just in the NFC. And I still don't know if it's a guarantee they're winning their own division either, especially with how the Lions have played. Like, they won that game in week 1. I think the Lions are probably favored to win that division. The only thing is that I'm curious about the Packers defense, because although they lost to the Browns, their defense still played phenomenally. I mean, their defense essentially gave up no points in that game, despite the scoreboard. So I am curious, and of course, give the credit to the Cowboys, which we already did. But is their defense just bad now, or are we gonna get back on track, or what? So we have more evidence that their defense has been good this year.
Yeah, I'm gonna take victory laps early. Oh well, what a forced fumble in that game. But when the Micah thing happened, my thing was still just that secondary worried me. And I think that's what got exposed in this game is that George Pickens and Dak just picked him apart. Flacco wasn't able to do that dominant. But in this game where it wasn't as dominant and Dak was just a good quarterback, I think that the secondary could be the thing that holds back. And I think that's what happened here where, they couldn't cover George Pickens. And, at the end of the day, the pass rush, it makes a massive impact, but back who can play at an elite level like Dak did, I think that's the thing that could be their kryptonite, unfortunately.